Hey everyone, today we're building an AI-powered chat app from scratch using Bolt and Cursor. I'll walk you through the whole process, setting up the frontend and database, pre-processing PDFs, and using OpenAI's embeddings model to make our PDFs searchable. We'll cover how to boost your Cursor workflow with Claude, extracting text from PDFs, and storing embeddings in Supabase so our chat can run super smooth. To be honest, I originally planned to build the whole thing in Bolt, but this app was such a pain. You'll notice a bunch of cuts in the video because I kept getting stuck in error loops. Eventually, you'll see me switch over to Cursor to get things done. This video is packed with some great learnings though. How to handle PDF uploads, AI chat that actually gets what's in your documents, a split screen setup for easy reading and chatting, creating embeddings and running similarity searches in your database so we only feed the AI the relevant parts of the PDF. And at the end of the video, we'll even check out how Cursor can help improve your app security. I'll drop the GitHub repo and PRD links below for you guys. If you find this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really does help grow the channel. All right, enough talking now. Let's start prompting. Guys, let's dive right in. I'm going to take the first part of my enhanced PRD, the project overview, and also the core features. And I will copy it and I will head back over to Bolt. And I will give it the first instruction. So PDFGenius, full stack web application. Okay, please don't build everything at once. I want you to implement each feature one by one. For now, please just build the front end and the first feature. And the first feature is the upload and management. So users can upload PDF documents, folders, categorize PDFs, view and manage uploaded PDFs. So please build the front end and the first feature. For the front end, please create a headline. Please create a basic nav bar, a headline centered that suits my project, and a drag and drop upload form. After the user uploaded, he is redirected to the dashboard where he sees a sidebar that has the specified functionality of the first feature and also a split screen with the PDF in the middle, and on the right there's a chat window where he can ask an LLM questions about the PDF. So let's hit enter. This is a pretty long prompt, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure if Bolt will get it on the first try, but it's one thing that I notice is it's much faster than Cursor, right? So the files are created much quicker, and can we already see a preview? No. So as you can see, it goes ahead and creates the layout page and also the different components in the UI. So I don't know if it uses a component library like ShadCN. It looks like it because we import components from the UI folder. So let's see. Since this is such a long prompt, it takes quite some time to generate everything. So we probably get some issues. Nope, we have a light and dark mode right from the beginning. And this kind of looks like ChatCN. I think it is. Because if we look here, do we see anything? Maybe if we look in the, where is it? Our package.json file, it's radix, and ShadCN is using the radix components. But that's nice. Okay, so let's see if we hit select, we'll get an upload window. Let's just go with this PDF file, and we also get redirected. So that's great. We don't see the PDF yet, okay, because we haven't implemented this functionality, but we have a chat window, and we can create, and we already create a new folder. Let's see, test folder. Okay, yeah, that works too. One thing that we still need to do is like we need another button to add another PDF, obviously, but for the first prompt, this is actually a pretty decent result, much better than I expected. So the next thing I want to implement is probably the what Bolt suggests. So implement the backend API for file uploads and management, because this is ultimately what we need to be able to view the different files in the PDF viewer. Okay, so I will just tell Bolt to implement this feature next. So, okay, that looks nice. And obviously we'll take care of the errors later. But for now, we'll just focus on the upload functionality. So, okay, that looks nice. I want to follow your advice. I want to follow your suggestion and create the API routes for file uploads and management next. For that, I need the different tables for Supabase and also a manual for how to connect my frontend to Supabase. So please explain step by step, create the necessary files for me, and then give me a concise manual what I need to do in order to be able to upload the PDF on the front end and see the file in the back end. Also think about proper, what do you call it? Proper file storage. Because, as I said, I'm not a developer and I'm definitely not a backend engineer, so I have absolutely no idea if it's good to store the PDF just as a PDF or if we should do some processing with it to, I don't know, maybe save some space or make it easier for the different functions to work with the file. I don't even know. So I'm trying to create a prompt where Bolt explains to me what it needs in order to make this work. Okay, so that's the final bit. Also think about proper file storage and also install necessary dependencies so I can actually view the file in the front end after uploading it. So we'll hit enter. We'll see what Bolt comes up with. Probably a bunch of things. So we need a folders table because we want to store the PDFs in the different folders, as you can see here. And we need a files table. So right now we don't really need the user ID because we haven't implemented the user authentication yet, and I'm not planning to. As I've said, this is just a demo, but as you can see, it created the schema for the database. Next step is to install the necessary dependencies, which is, I don't know, we can check in package.json. So, for example, this, I don't know if that makes sense. Package.json, I don't know why it has written, that seemed like a glitch. So, set up Supabase client. We create Supabase client inside of the lib folder. Then the next step is to create the API routes. Let's close that. So here you can see the different API routes for the files, folders, and uploading, and update the front-end components to use the API routes. Now let's update the front end. Everything is connected now to the different, we'll probably write a function. So when we upload the PDF, we make an API call to the backend or to Supabase and store the file. And now let me provide you with a concise manual on how to connect your front end to Supabase and implement file upload. So we need to set up Supabase, obviously, create the folders and files table as described in step 1. Set up storage, create a new bucket called PDFs in Supabase storage, configure environment variables, create the .env local file in your project root, and add the following variables. So I think we already have the .env file. No, we don't. Now, obviously, we want to create the folders or the different tables, folders and files as described in step 1. So if you've never set up a database, you probably have no idea how to do it, right? Me neither, because you have to actually write SQL. We could have used Prisma, which makes it easier to handle database queries. But to be honest, I've tried to build the project off camera with Prisma, and I got a bunch of dependency errors. So this is why I'm trying to do it raw, basically. So the thing that I want to do is we got the schema for the Supabase tables. Okay, so we have a folders table and we also have the files table. We want to copy that and we want to head over to Claude. You can start a new chat and we want to tell it to give us the SQL so that we can create the tables inside of Supabase. So I have the schema for a Supabase table and I want you to write the SQL for me so I can use Supabase's SQL editor to create the tables easily. Okay, so we'll paste it, folders table, files table, and this should give us an SQL statement that we just need to copy and paste into the SQL editor inside of Supabase. So this looks good so far. Create the indexes for better query performance. Okay, now let's see if that already works. So we copy the content, we'll head over to Supabase. You need to create a new project inside of your organization. We'll just call it PDF chat. And we'll need a database password. I will just give it one. We'll take this. We'll create the project. We'll save the password just in case. And then we need some info, but we first want to create the table. So now it should be done. As you can see, if we click on the table editor, we don't have any entries available. We click on SQL editor and we paste the SQL statement from Claude and we hit run. Okay, this seems to be a success. No rows returned, and now we should see tables. Okay, well, we have the files tables with the different attributes and also folders, and everything is linked together. Okay, so great, that worked. Now we'll head back over to Bolt, and now we need the environment variables, right? So we need to create a new file inside of our project. And as you can see, if I open the terminal and I type ls, which basically just shows me all of the files and folders, you can see that we are right now inside of our project root. So what we need to do is we need to create a file .env.local, and this should appear here, as you can see. And now we'll copy that, we'll paste it here, and we need the Supabase URL and the public key. And we can find that on Supabase. If you click on API, there you have your project URL. You want to copy it and paste it here. And we also need this key. We'll paste it here. Now we'll save this file. And do we see anything yet? No. Okay, this was to be expected. Now we finished step 1 and step 2. We don't want authentication for now. Let's just tell it I've finished step 1 and 2. I don't need authentication for now. I just want my app and running. Please finish all the other steps for me and tell me when you need my help. So we'll just hit enter and see what, well, certainly I'll go through the remaining steps to get your app up and running without authentication for now. Implement the file upload, storage, and viewing functionality. So now it should go ahead and create the different functions to handle the file upload and also to display the files in the dashboard and all the other good stuff. And okay, let's see, file upload. So now it writes the file upload component. And as you can see, here's the fetch file URL. So what we haven't done yet is setting up a bucket. While Bolt is building the other files, we can do that. So we head back over to Supabase and open storage, and we need to create a bucket. Just copy the name. I mean, it's not even that difficult, but just for the sake of it. So we want to create a new bucket. We want to paste the name, and we'll hit save. And I think this is it. So let's see. I've made the necessary changes to implement the file upload, storage, and viewing functionality. Uploaded, blah, blah. Updated dashboard. To complete the setup, you need to do the following. Create Supabase project if you haven't already. We've already done that. Set up the necessary tables in Supabase. We've already done that too. Create the storage bucket named PDFs in Supabase and upload your env.local. So these are basically the steps that we already finished successfully. So the env.local file still exists. Nothing was deleted. Make sure your Supabase storage bucket permissions allow public read access for the PDF viewer to work. Okay, so the bucket. Okay, so we'll make it a public bucket, and click on save. Now let's see. The project isn't running, so npm run dev. This should take a while until everything is loaded, or we get some errors. So this works. Now, as you can see, we have some tailwind errors. Okay, now quite a few errors, to be honest. Maybe those I'm missing Shatsian components. I'm not quite sure, but let's see if Bolt is able to fix itself. Now, again, we need to run the project, npm run dev. Let's see if that already fixed the issues. Ready in 3 seconds. I can't see anything yet. There's still more. Oh, okay. This looks nice. So there's still an error. Let's see. We'll see if this is, if we need to fix the problem before we actually can use the app. But for now, let's just see if everything works. So we get a second problem. Uploading file status code 403 unauthorized. Okay, new row violates row level security policy. Now this shouldn't be a problem because we probably need to change the row level access, but let's see if Bolt can do this. So we'll copy that, paste it here. I get this error. Please fix and explain step by step. Please also give me the SQL to set the right row level security policy if policy in Supabase if necessary. Now we'll hit enter. I think it should have something to do with the fact that we can't just upload files to, or rather rows to the tables because we're unauthenticated right now. So now as you can see, I apologize for the oversight. The error you're encountering is due to the row level security policies in Supabase. Yeah, since we haven't created authentication or we are not authenticated when we try to communicate with Supabase, there's an error. First, let's update the file upload component to handle the error properly. And now let's set up the correct RLC policies in Supabase. You'll need to run these SQL comments in the Supabase SQL editor. Now we'll just copy those and we'll see create a sign-in page. Okay, so apparently Bolt wants us to have a simple authentication system. Sure, let's see where we go with this. So we'll open the SQL editor, we'll delete this, and we'll paste this. Now we'll hit run. That worked without any errors. Now, as you can see, the logs are gone. I've copy-pasted the SQL code, the SQL statements into the SQL editor in Supabase, and it executed successfully. However, I have no idea how to do the other steps you talk about. Please write the code for me and do what's necessary so I can upload the PDF. Also, if I need to set up authentication in Supabase, please explain step by step how I can do it. Now, again, I apologize for the confusion. Let's go through the process. Okay, first, let's set up the authentication in Supabase. Go to your Supabase project dashboard, providers in the sidebar, enable email provider if it's not already enabled. Under the site URL, enter your application URL for local development. You can use the localhost 3000. Okay, now let's update the Supabase client to handle authentication. So obviously, this is not really what I wanted because it adds a layer of complexity to the app, right? And since this is a demo, this will probably take some time, but I just want to show you the power of Bolt. And we'll probably make it work, but I'll probably have to edit the video a bit more later. So unfortunately, it deleted our Supabase URL and the key. Now we'll go to Supabase, click on authentication, and we click on providers. We want email, which is already enabled. So enable email provider. So there are still some things we need to do, which is in URL configuration. So we have the localhost 3000, which is pretty much the standard URL if you start doing web development. Now, under redirect URLs, add HTTP localhost 3000 auth callback. And we'll enter this here. We'll save the URL. I wonder if that works inside of Bolt, but we'll see. Now let's update the Supabase client to handle authentication. So Supabase client authentication. Currently, we don't see anything because we haven't started the development server yet. Create new file for authentication. So libauth. Okay. Update the file upload component to handle authentication and use the API route for uploads. So this worked fine. I ran the comment. Now we need again the, where is it? If local, we need again the public key, and we need the URL, and we need service role key. Okay, which is this? I think this should be the same, right? Or is it different? It's a bit different. Obviously, I will deactivate all of the files, all of the keys, right? So please don't try to use them. So replace the project and your service role key. We've already done this. In your Supabase project, go to authentication, URL configuration. We've done that. All the necessary dependencies are installed, npm run dev. Okay, let's see. If this works without errors, we'll be so happy. Because usually it's, okay, now can't resolve input trace for requested module. Currently it works. Can we sign in? So click on sign up. We'll enter the email address cannot be used as it's not authorized. No shit. Okay. We'll click on authentication. We'll click on email and confirm email. So we'll just hit save and we'll see if this already did the trick. Obviously, this is not really, this is not that best practice when it comes to coding, right? Because this is not really safe. But so we'll do this. We'll do just a random password. We'll do sign up. As you can see, we are already signed in. Now, I can't upload a PDF. Can I click on dashboard? Yes, I can. No PDF selected. So, okay, the error is gone and I'm authenticated, but for some reason I can't upload a PDF. If I click on the select PDF button, nothing happens. Fix PDF upload functionality. I apologize for the inconvenience. Yeah. Okay. I'll upload TSX. Where is it? Update upload API route. So the server is running, should load in a second. We're still signed in and we can choose the PDF. So we click on this, we'll open and upload failed. What's the error? Error uploading file. There's a empty object. So we need to fix the problem. It seems as if nothing is, so I can select the file, but for some reason, it doesn't use the file to upload anything, but it uploads an empty object. So the error suggests that there might be a problem with the file upload process or the Supabase configuration. Let's make some adjustments to resolve the issue. API upload route. We now use the Supabase client directly to upload the file and create the database entry. We check if the user is authenticated before attempting to upload. Update the env.local. Paste. Save. Preview. So we're still signed in. Select the file. This works. We'll upload this. Open. Insert or update on table of files violates foreign key constraint. So this is good. Obviously, we get another error while it's foreign key constraint, files folder ID. Foreign key constraint error. This error occurs because we're trying to insert a file with a folder ID that doesn't exist. Use the default folder or create one if it doesn't exist. Update Supabase schema. So we need to run this comment again inside of Supabase. Let's open the SQL editor. Let's delete this. Let's paste. Let's run. Success. Now back to Bolt. Again, we have a bunch of errors. We probably need to update this shit again. Save. This should fix the error. Select the PDF. Upload. There's no unique or exclusion constraint matching the on-conflict specification. I have absolutely no freaking idea. Now, again, those error loops happen, right? And we're just at the beginning of our app. So you really need like thick skin, yeah, to basically walk through it bit by bit. I wonder if this would have been easier if we would have used Cursor, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. Delete the env local again. This is just okay. This is just fucking hilarious at this point. This file, we should resolve this issue. We're still signed in. Again, upload, open, and again. Add a unit constraint. We'll see. Copy that back to Supabase SQL editor, save, run, success. Okay. Now we've added a unique constraint to the folders table in the Supabase schema to ensure that the combination of name and user ID is unique. Okay, select. This seems to work. Unfortunately, we can't click on the file, but so this works, and the file has a size, which means it's probably the real file and not just I don't know, some hiccup. Now, well, that took some time, around 45 minutes, but we made it work. Okay, now we need to add the next feature, which is actually being able to click on the PDF file and then display it inside of the PDF window. Now let's head back over to Bolt, say, okay, great, it's working. I can upload a file and I get redirected to the dashboard. I see the file, what's the thing called? Sidebar. In the sidebar, but I can't click it and it's not displayed in the PDF viewer. Please add this feature. So we'll see if this is already enough info for Bolt to work its magic. So while Bolt is working, I don't really know if this tool is better than Cursor in combination with Claude and V0. Probably not, because I mean, if you want to add a certain layer of complexity to the app, which is basically not just writing a to-do app with a single file, but rather adding a backend and all that other stuff, it becomes quite complicated, even for the AIs, and you still need to be able to guide the AI, right? And just from playing around, playing with it for like 60 minutes now, it's not necessarily smarter than Cursor. Sometimes it works a little bit faster, but you still have to do the same amount of debugging. So let's click on this. Okay, this actually killed my browser. That's too bad. I hope that, yes, I want to reopen. Okay, obviously this, let's see if this project still exists or if I just introduced, yeah, sure, no shit. Yeah, I probably nuked my project. Awesome. It really was deleted, right? Oh, okay, here it is. Let's see if we can still upload files. So uploading, this seems to work. I reload this. Thank God, it's still working. I thought everything was lost. Now, if I click here, my browser will probably be nuked again. So, well, I have to try, right? docs.google.com refused to connect. Obviously, this is not the right library that we want to use. Okay, so we'll head back over to, what's it called? So we'll head back over. We need to go to the user want to use PDFlib for PDF manipulation and PDFJS dist for rendering. So we'll go back to Bolt and say, I don't know why it says docs.google.com can't display to connect. When I click a file in the sidebar and make it work, please don't break my browser. The first time I tried, it quit unexpectedly. Now let's update the PDF viewer component to use PDFJS dist for rendering. Okay, now I'm really excited to see if this works. And again, now you see the power of having a proper project requirements doc, right? Because if you would just try to enter one prompt and let Cursor, Bolt, whatever coding AI you would use, try to build a somewhat complex app, it wouldn't just work, right? Because you would have absolutely no idea what you are doing. So guys, okay, before we actually go ahead and just try to kind of eyeball us through the process of implementing the pre-processing, I figured it would be actually nice to understand what the F is going on. Okay, so for that, I went to Claude and I basically explained it what I wanted to do. Okay, and this is a structure that it came up with, or rather a process diagram. And let's just quickly have a look at it. So you basically have two different processes. Okay, so the first process is the user uploads a PDF. And as I've already told you, it would be quite cost intensive to just take the whole PDF, save it to the database, do nothing with it, and give the whole, for example, 100 pages to Claude and let it process everything. Because first you have the rate limits, and depending on the PDF, you might not even be able to feed the whole thing to the LLM. And you have the costs, right? You don't want to feed millions of tokens into the LLM and pay hundreds of dollars for each query. So this is why we are doing the following. As I've said, we will upload the PDF. We will do some processing steps. And the processing steps are extracting the text from the PDF, and we will split this text into chunks. It's called chunking. And I don't really know what type of chunking is the best. Okay. And what I mean by that is you can think about if you want to create sections or paragraphs. I figured we'll just let Bolt decide what type of chunks we're going to create. And the next thing is to generate embeddings. And if you wonder how that looked like, what that looked like, I've actually went to Cursor and created this exact step. Now, as you can see, I upload, this is a simple form. You can upload a PDF. In my case, it doesn't matter what it's called, but in my case, it's this PDF. And then I've made a API call to OpenAI's ADA, or let me check, what was the model? The model is called Text Embedding 3 Small, okay? And what it does is it creates this graph, and basically the graph is a representation, or the dots are a representation of the different words. And embeddings are nothing else than matrices with floating point numbers. So, and now you're probably wondering and asking yourself, oh, Daniel, but what the F do those numbers actually mean? Now, first of all, for us humans, absolutely nothing. But as you probably know, algorithms or computer programs in general can understand numbers much, much better than actual words that we use in our language. So, and I asked myself the same question because I'm not very good at math. To be honest, my mathematical skills are devastating. Headed over to Claude, just ask it to explain the embeddings. The answer was the following. So embeddings are dense vector representations of text or other data types in a high-dimensional space. So when you create embeddings for text, each embedding is essentially a list of numbers that captures the semantic meaning of the text in a way that machines can understand and compare. We got that so far, probably. And now let's look at this diagram. So it says chunk 1, chunk 2, and so on. Each row in your embedding matrix represents a single chunk of text from your PDF. So if you split your PDF into 100 chunks, you'll have 100 rows of embeddings. Makes sense so far. Now, the columns represent the dimensions of the embedding space. The number of columns depends on the specific embedding model you're using. So we have 768, 1536, and 384. We probably are somewhere in the space of or in the dimensional space of 1536, because we're using OpenAI's a model that's in the text embedding ADA family from OpenAI. And then I asked myself, okay, now that I have this matrix, what can I do with it? And turns out at the end of the day, you just really perform mathematical operations, right? It's some kind of, I hope I say that correctly, it's some kind of optimization problem. At the end of the day, you want to know what distance between which numbers is minimal. Okay. In other words, similarity search is fundamentally about measuring the distance or similarity between vectors in a high dimensional space. So The smaller the distance between a specific set of vectors, the higher the semantical relevance between those numbers or between those words that those vectors represent, right? And this is probably a completely devastating explanation every mathematician and maybe even some programmers are screaming right now. But in my non-mathematical brain, it makes sense, okay? And obviously, there are a lot of libraries that you can use, so you don't have to implement those algorithms yourself. You can use FACE, which is a similarity search library from Facebook, Annoy, scikit-learn, SciPy, and ANSWLib. Okay, now we have a new problem that we need to solve, right? Since we're building a full stack application, we probably need to incorporate some other programming languages into our project. And maybe it will be Python, because usually Python is really good with numbers. But I guess we'll just find out. Okay, so, and by the way, for those of you who wonder, I will definitely put that link to this process diagram and also to my enhanced PRD in the YouTube description, so you can access it anytime you want. Okay. Okay, guys, now we'll start with the first step, which is the pre-processing. Okay, and for that, I already showed you that Claude gave me a example workflow, and this is it basically, okay? So we have the PDF processing, we extract the text, we split the text into manageable chunks, we generate the embeddings for each chunk, and we store these embeddings in a vector database. Now, this prompt is probably getting, it will probably be a bit longer, since we have to define quite a few things, right? Now, this is unfortunately a disadvantage of Bolt because it doesn't have access to the internet like Cursor does. Okay, so we probably need to copy and paste all of the code manually. And we can't just add the documents, which is, well, unfortunate, but we can't really do much about it. So we'll start by, okay, before I send the contents of the PDF to a LLM, I want to pre-process it. For that, you can find the following workflow. So, and please don't implement everything at once. I want you to go step by step, which means extracting the content, which means writing the code for extracting the text from the PDF and split it into manageable chunks. Keep in mind that I want to save the embeddings we are going to create into my Supabase database. So please write all the code and explain what I have to do in Supabase to later access, to later save the chunks. But for now, just write the code for extracting and splitting into chunks. Also, I have no idea what size of chunks are best. So if there's a library for that, which manages the chunking, please use it. To check if everything is working, please output the created chunks in the console. Okay, now we'll see if this works. Probably not, and we have to do a lot of debugging. And I will add, please don't delete or change any of the code or functions we have so far, unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, now we'll see what. Yeah, okay, we want to fork this project. Obviously, there's a newer version. I get it. So certainly, let's start with extracting the text from the PDF and splitting it into manageable chunks. We'll use PDF parse library for text extraction and the LangChain library for text splitting, as it provides intelligent chunking strategies. Okay, this is nice. So Bolt is actually helping us and doing the research and also explaining us what it uses. So let's see. So we have the PDF processor inside of our lib folder. Where is it? Lib folder. We have the PDF processor. And it has three functions. We have the extract text from PDF. Then we split the text into chunks. The chunk size is 1000. And we combine the above functions in the process PDF function. Okay. We're using the recursive character text splitter from LangChain, which is a smart text splitter that tries to keep related content together. That is awesome. It uses a chunk size of 1000 characters with 200 character overlap between the chunks. These values can be adjusted based on your specific needs. Okay, in the file upload component, we've added the PDF processing step. This is awesome. And to prepare the Supabase for storing these chunks later, you'll need to create a new table. You can do this in the Supabase dashboard. Now, obviously, we are using this, and head over to Claude and let us give the SQL statement. So we'll do that quickly. Please create the SQL so I can create this new table inside of my Supabase dashboard. Now we'll copy that. So this is for the chunks, which obviously to store them so we can access them later on. And we'll just copy that, head back over to Supabase and open the SQL editor. Wait until it's finished loading. Save this and create a GIN index on the embedding column for faster similarity searches. Okay, maybe we can ask that later, but for now, let's just run that. Okay. Embedding vector 1536. There's an issue. So we probably have to check something. Maybe we go to embeddings, OpenAI. And do we find information about the models? So we have embeddings models. It actually has the output dimension of 1536. Okay. So what does this mean? Type vector does not exist. Okay, maybe Supabase AI can help us. Okay. Supabase AI is experimental and may produce incorrect code. Yeah. Okay, create extension if not exists vector. Okay, now let's see before I hit accept. Let's copy that, head over to Claude. Actually, I get an error inside of the SQL editor. So let's see. I apologize for the confusion. The error you're encountering suggests that the vector extension is not available or not enabled in your Supabase instance. Okay. This is a common issue because the vector type is part of the PG vector extension, which is not enabled by default. Let's modify our approach to create the table without the vector type for now. We'll use a different data type that can still store the embedding data, and you can update it later when the PG vector extension is installed. Okay, so the question is, how do I install the extension? So we have function triggers, extensions. Okay. And we want PG vector. There it is. Okay. Vector data type and okay, now let's enable that. Select a schema to enable the extension for. Do we just use the default value? Or do we use public? Let me check. So we have the table schema. Oh, we need it for public. Okay. So back to database extensions. That should be right. So PG vector, and we need it for public. Enable the extension. Now the vector is on. And now if we copy that again and go back to our SQL database, paste it and run. Foreign key constraint, PDF chunks file ID, F key cannot be implemented. Key columns, file ID, and ID are of incompatible types. Okay. So the next step would be to head back to Claude again, save this, and well, is that enough? I apologize for the oversight. The error indicates that the ID column in your files table is of type big int, not UUID as we initially assumed. Let's adjust our table creation SQL to match the data type of the files table. Okay. We've changed the file ID column type from UUID to big N to match the ID column in the file. Okay, so we'll copy that and again run that. So this worked, but we don't have the vector now, right? Instead, we're using embedding float null. Is there an explanation here? This should create the table chunks. Okay, if you want to use big N for the ID and have it auto-increment, you could modify the table. Remember that we're still using float for the embedding column as a temporary solution until the PG vector extension is available. Okay, the PG vector extension is available. Please update the SQL. Okay, I must have overseen this. Okay, now we're using the embedding vector. Let's see if this works. It will probably relation PDF chunks already exists. Okay, yeah, we probably have to delete this PDF chunks. We need to delete the table. Warning, dropping a camera and consequences. Yeah, whatever. We want to delete everything that is related to that table. Okay, so delete. Okay, now back to SQL. Let's save this and we'll run it. Okay, success. That is awesome. Now we should have the PDF chunks and embedding vector is also activated. This is nice. Okay, now back to Bolt. And this table structure will allow you to store the text chunks. Okay, we've done that. This tool is absolutely fucking useless. I mean, the amount of hallucinations you get during the coding process is just outrageous, okay? The only thing that you can do is like write 1 or 2 prompts, create a very, very, very bare bone MVP, and just ship it, okay? Don't change anything, don't do anything. We should move the file upload component back to the homepage. Yeah, no shit. So I ported the whole project and believe it or not, but it took me another 15 to 20 minutes to make it work with Cursor. So there actually was a problem. The imports were correct. So we have the recursive character text splitter and also the PDF loader. But one thing that was missing was that it was actually necessary to convert the file and then use the PDF loader in this way, as you can see here, to export the text. And Bolt wasn't able to create that step, as you can see. At least I think that is what the problem was, because after Cursor added this code snippet, everything worked. So I can show you. Let's open the PDFGenius now. Let's refresh. As you can see, I shouldn't see any files because I've deleted them inside of Supabase. If we go back to PDFGenius and I'll open the PDF, it says upload. Let's head back over to Cursor. And now, as you can see, we make the API call in the back end, probably. It's uploading, and there you have it. There you can see the chunks. So this works. And again, guys, use Cursor, don't use Bolt. I actually want to go ahead and implement the next feature, which is actually creating the embeddings of the PDF. But before I do that, I want to brush up the front end a bit, because I want to delete this upload form, and also I want to enable the user to not just upload a file from the homepage, so to speak, but the user should also be able to upload a file in a specific folder by clicking a plus sign next to the folder. And I also want to give him the option of deleting the files. So I will probably let Cursor add an X icon or something like that next to the file name, so I can delete files, not just from the sidebar, but also from the database. Let's do this. And I also want to delete the PDF chunks, obviously, because this it just looks horrendous. Okay, now let's get back. Let's switch back to Cursor and tell, okay, chunking process works. And one thing, what you should do is always, always, always commit to a GitHub repository after each successful feature implementation, which is we want to enter all of the files to the stage and then hit git commit. And we want to give it a name. So PDF preprocessing, which is the chunking process. Chunking process is working. Now we'll hit escape and colon WQ exclamation mark. And now this will write all the files and insert them in the main branch. So now you can always, if Cursor would, I don't know, fuck up some code, you could always reset the branch and you basically have a working project again. Now, we'll have Composer open, and now we'll tell it to chunking process works. Before we add the next step in the pre-processing, in the PDF pre-processing, I should say, PDF pre-processing, I want to brush up the front end a bit. Right now, I can see a file upload form underneath the PDF viewer. I don't want that. And I want the user to be able to delete files from the sidebar. And therefore, from the database. So we'll see if this is already enough for Cursor to do its work. So let's focus on improving the front end by adding the delete functionality. Let's start by updating the main page component. Now, as you can see, it is writing the files. For some reason, some of the changes don't work. I wonder why. So let's look at the page component. Let's see. So this is actually in the file upload, this state. Okay. And we have route.tsx. The only thing we need for now is this. So we don't have the Supabase auth helper. We want to install that. Obviously, it's called Next.js. Somehow it created a new components folder, which is obviously not right. Okay, we want to copy the contents inside of the actual folder, but this probably won't work without any issues. So to be honest, I don't know why this is happening. We'll want to delete this. Yes, move to trash and don't save. And I'm gonna quickly restart Cursor. So let's see if this is working. We'll refresh. It's compiling. Again, we'll upload the Blaze report just to see if we can still see the chunks or if Cursor broke anything. I hope not. Uploading. Okay, we can still see the chunks, which is great. And now we still see this. So we have to add the different files. For some reason I can't access. I can only access sidebar. Okay, let's do page. So here we have the dashboard. Okay, chunking works. Before we create the embedding of the PDF text content, I want to improve the front end a bit. Right now we have a upload form underneath the viewer. I don't want that. Also please delete. And usually I could just do it myself, right? But again, the whole point of these videos is to let Cursor do it, right? So please delete. Also in sidebar, I want the user to be able to delete files from the sidebar and therefore from the Supabase database. Now, please use my implementation, my current project structure and implementation. Don't just hallucinate code, and we'll give it the whole code base. So one thing we don't need is, I believe, the Bolt folder. We only need the .next folder. So we'll delete that. We'll give it the whole code base. It should index all of the files and should make the updates in the correct file. So in page.tsx, it's great. We deleted the PDF viewer underneath, the file upload underneath the PDF viewer. Now the next changes Cursor is going to make is in the sidebar component. And since Bolt did such a great job at factoring the code and actually making it modular, I will probably also have to restructure the code a bit with the fetch folders, fetch files. I don't want this in the sidebar.tsx. It's not best practice, right? You just want the component inside of the component file, which is basically the return statement. Obviously, you still need some functions, yes, but I figured, I'm not sure if we need fetch folders, fetch files in the component, or if we actually can create a new folder and import it from there, but we'll see. So for now, we'll just hit save all. So it writes to the file. We'll switch back to the browser. And now let's check. So I currently have 2 files inside of my table. And now if I click on delete, I should be able to not only delete from the sidebar, but also from Supabase. Let's try. So we'll delete. It's deleted there, and head back over to Supabase, and it also deleted inside of Supabase too. So much easier than in Bolt. You can actually see the live changes, and you can reject or save the changes, which is really just godsend. So we'll hit accept all. Now, the other thing I want to delete is the chunks at the top, all that, I believe. And now let's look at the PDFGenius. No, great. We've deleted the chunks, which is also nice. And now what we want to do is to implement the API call to the OpenAI text embedding 3 small model so that we can create the embedding and save that embedding in our Supabase PDF chunks table as an embedding vector. So another thing I would like to add before we start implementing the embedding is I want the user to be able to create files inside of the specific folders, right? So we'll head back to Cursor and say, before we tackle any of the issues, please add another feature. And I'm going to talk about the issues that I named here, or that you can read here in just a sec, okay? So before we tackle any of the issues, please add another feature which is enabling the user to create files inside of a specific folder. For that, just add a button, e.g. plus sign next to the folder name in a way that it looks visually pleasing, which lets the user upload a new PDF file from the dashboard. If you can reuse components, only create new files if you have to. So we want to prevent Cursor from bloating our code base, right? So this is why I chose this prompt. Now let's see what it's doing. Probably make some changes inside of sidebar, yes, as expected. And while it's creating the code, let's talk about the issues that you can see here, okay? So if you want to create a web application, especially a web application, or maybe even turn it into a SaaS, where people pay for, okay? It needs to follow certain best practices. One of the biggest issues is security, right? Because you don't want your users' data to be exposed on the internet, right? All the API routes and everything where user data is flowing to keep the app working needs to be protected from the internet, right? So attackers are not able to steal their information. And this is why I like to sometimes in my, or not sometimes, but at a certain point in my patients, I like to use this prompt. Could you analyze my code base and check for best practices, violations, or any security related issues that I need to address so I can make this a safe app for others to use? Also, check for any unnecessary bloated code or complex project structure that could be simplified. Don't write any code yet. Just list those points. So the first answer was unfortunately a general approach. So it listed a bunch of things from authentication to environment variables to file upload security, all the way down to security headers in our Next.js application. But what I want to talk about is the specific issues that my app currently has that I probably don't know about, right? Because I'm not a developer. I know how a web application work conceptually, but when it comes to coding or specific security requirements, I'm still learning. And this is why I want Cursor, or in that case, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, to help me. And this is why I ask a follow-up question. Are those general points, or do they actually apply to my code base? And this is when Cursor or Claude scanned my code base again and told me, okay, let me provide a more specific analysis. So for that, just hit save all. Let me provide a more specific analysis to apply to based on your actual code base. And now you can see we have authentication, authorization issues. We have implemented authentication, but we should ensure all API routes like app API folders route TS and files route TS are properly authenticated. So I'm not even sure if we are even using them. No. So obviously we can neglect this. We can neglect this file, so the folders. And as you can see, it looked at our API routes and said, okay, you should ensure that all API routes are properly authenticated. And I will just give this issue back to Cursor so that it helps me fix it. Same goes for the file upload and the folder creation in the sidebar. We want to have input validation because we don't want attackers to inject any malicious code or JS scripts so they can, again, steal user data or do any other dangerous stuff in our app. Now we need better error handling in some cases, and we also want to make sure that our Supabase URL is stored in the .env file. I thought it is, as you can see here, but we still have to scan the code if we use it anywhere else. I think we use it in some of the API routes. I have to check this and all of the other stuff. Okay, so you want to take this one by one and you want to feed those issues back to Cursor, and you want to let Cursor help you fix these issues to ultimately make the app safe and secure for others to use. So now let's check what changes it made, and we'll choose the default folder to upload a file. And there seems to be an issue. So we see an uploading PDF file immediately without being able to choose a file, which is obviously not what we want. Okay. There seems to be an issue. When I click the upload button next to the folder name, I see the, what's it called? See the uploading PDF modal immediately without being able to choose a file whatsoever. Could you please fix and walk through it step by step? Now, and although this process is pretty sophisticated, you still need to do a little bit of work, okay? Maybe Cursor 0. Or Cursor 1.0, because right now I think it's Cursor 0.42 or something. Maybe Cursor 1.0 won't need as much guidance, but with the current situation or with the current state of Cursor, you still need a little bit of knowledge about what you want to do, okay? Because at the end of the day, AI is just a tool, right? It can't look inside of your brain and completely understand what you want. Maybe if we have a chip inside our brains in a few years from now, this will be possible. But so let's hit save all. And let's go back. Let's choose this. Okay, now we need to select a PDF file. Okay. But again, this is not really a good user experience, right? Because you don't want to click a button and then have to click another button to actually choose the PDF file. So for now, we'll go with that. We'll choose this file to see if it actually works. Let's hit open. Now it says uploading, and we have to go to Supabase to check if the file was actually uploaded. So let's open the dashboard. Let's go to PDF chat. We want to go to the table editor and we want to click on files. So right now it's 9:53. Okay, we have a time difference of 2 hours. And as you can see, we have the 14th of October. So this worked. Okay, it works, but it's somehow bad UX because after clicking the upload button next to a folder name, a modal appears and the user has to click upload file again. Could you please make it so that the what's it called? The file selection, so that the file selection window appears immediately after clicking the upload file button next to the folder name. So let's do this. And we have file upload modal still has some red, probably a type issue. Yeah, okay, implicit any type. And this is also some of the part of the issues that Cursor talked about earlier, right? If we scroll up, we should see where is the type safety? Okay, your TypeScript usage is good, but there are a few places where any is used. And what we want to do is, again, give that back to Cursor later down the line, but we probably need to create a new folder called types, and there we have to put the PDF file as a type, okay? If you don't know what that means, don't worry, I will explain it. But this is part. So let me check. So we have the dialog here, but we edit it again here. I will probably just resolve this off camera. It's just a matter of copy pasting the different components into the other UI. Okay, so you could easily do this on yourself. It's not a big deal. So let's check. We have made the changes. We'll click Save All, and we go back to our app. Let's hit refresh. Let's delete the file, and let's click on the button and see if the file, if the correct window opens. Yes, okay. This works. We'll click on PDFGenius report Blaze will open, and we see uploading file. And if we go back to Supabase table editor, we click on files, we should see the new file. Yes, okay. Now for some reason the file don't get deleted anymore. Again, we need to fix this, but other than that, it works. So let's accept all. Okay, this works now, but we can't see the file inside. Maybe there was an issue. Let's see with the reloading. So let's see, we'll hit delete and we'll open Supabase. Okay, so the file deletion process still works. Guys, so off camera, I added just another feature I quickly wanted to show you. So if we are in the app, the user can now click on the folder name, change the name of the folder, hit enter or cancel, and the name will also be changed inside of the Supabase table. As you can see, this folder was named default prior to this, and this works. So now we finally start implementing the embeddings, right? Now, for that, I want to copy paste this SQL statement because, as you remember, this is exactly the statement that we use to create the PDF chunks table, right? And inside of this PDF chunks table, we're going to save or to store the content, and we're also going to store the embedding. Now, this is why I want to use the SQL statement to give it to Cursor, so Cursor knows exactly how to implement each function that we need to create the embedding, so we can perfectly map all of the embeddings or vector or matrices that we get to the specific tables or to the specific table column inside of our PDF chunks, right? Now, let's open the app again, and we'll switch back over to Cursor, and we'll tell it to implement this feature. Great. This works too. Now I want to go ahead and actually add the next feature, which is creating the embedding from the chunks of the PDF. As you can remember, you have already implemented the chunking feature of the PDF by using LangChain. And now I want to use these chunks to feed them to OpenAI's embedding model and store the result inside of my PDF chunks table in Supabase. For that, I want to provide you with the SQL statement that I've used to create the PDF chunks table. So we'll paste it here. And we also ask Cursor, please analyze and tell me if this table is suitable for the above feature. If not, please give me another SQL statement to update the table before writing any code for the embedding. Please check the table first, and then I will give you more instructions. So since this is a pretty big feature, right? Because we have multiple moving parts. We want to take the chunks. We want to send the chunks to the embedding model, embedding model large 003, I think it's called. And we want to get the API response back. We want to use that response. We want to store it inside of the table. And again, I don't even know if we have to process the embeddings one more time. So this is why I want to break up this feature into multiple smaller problems, if that makes sense. Okay, again, guys, it's always the same. You have a big problem, you divide it into smaller problems, you solve the smaller problems, you put them back together so that you can ultimately solve the big problem, right? Now, please don't hallucinate any code, but I want to make this feature work with my current implementation and code base. So please analyze the table by taking with regards to that. Now we'll hit enter and we'll see it shouldn't write any code yet. It should just tell me, okay, no, the table is right. You can just use it. The table is the primary key, which is good for distributed systems. Reference the files table with a front file key, allowing you to link chunks to their source files, which is good. Chunk index allows for ordering of chunks within a file. The content field stores the content field stores the actual text of the chunk. The embedding field uses the vector, which is suitable for OpenAI's text embedding. There's a created at timestamp, and we have appropriate indexes are created for file ID, chunk index, and the embedding column. This table structure is suitable, and the feature you want to add allows you to do all these things. Store the chunks, associate these chunks with their source files, store embeddings for each chunk, and perform efficiently similarity searches on the embeddings. Now, and we already, Cursor gave us already the next questions we need to answer, right? Because now we have to tell it to make the API call to OpenAI, as I've said. For that, I want to head back to my stack edit or to my enhanced PRD. And as you can see, unfortunately, I haven't added this, but usually there would be a part in the PRD where you already have the code snippet, right? So don't make the same mistake. Just add all the necessary files and code snippets you need to your PRD. It makes things much easier down the line, okay? But for now, we'll go to the embeddings side on OpenAI. We'll, I think I've already added this. Let's see. I should have already added this to the documentations. Let's see. I think it's in features. So we have OpenAI embeddings docs. Okay, so I've added the general side probably, right? It's embeddings docs, embeddings. Okay. OpenAI guides embeddings docs. So I've already added the documentation, so I won't do it again. But we need this, and we also want to, just to be safe, we want to copy that code snippet into Cursor. And now we want to tell it what to do. Okay, one potential improvement you might consider adding a user ID column to the PDF chunks table. This would allow for user-specific queries and better data isolation if your application supports multiple users. However, this isn't strictly necessary if you're always querying through the files table, which presumably has user information. Yes. So let's check this user files table, which presumably has user information. Yeah, we have the user ID here. So we'll just neglect this for now. Given that the table structure is appropriate, you can proceed with implementing the embedding generation and storage feature. When you're ready, I can help you with the next steps. Now, okay, let's start implementing the embedding feature. I want you to use OpenAI's text, I think it's called text embedding large 003. Let's check. So we have the models. It's called, for embeddings, it's called text embedding. Good that I've checked that. So it's called text embedding small. Here's a code snippet for how to use it. Now, obviously we have to copy the snippet again. So here's a code snippet for how to use it. This goes here. And please create all the necessary files. Again, take code base maintenance and easy scalability into account. So create a new API route, etc. So the next thing we want is, so let's think about it one more time. The user uploads a file, and we need to take this file, then we create the chunks, and we send the chunks to Supabase. I'm sorry, we send the chunks to OpenAI, and then we need to store the chunks and the vectors inside of Supabase. Okay, so please create all the necessary files. Please also use the workflow in my app, which means uploading file, creating chunks with LangChain, sending these chunks to OpenAI, and then storing the response and the chunks in the PDF chunks table with the necessary formatting so that I can access them later for the chatting feature of the app. Only focus on the embedding process for now. Embedding process implementation for now. So we'll see. This will probably give us some errors because, again, it's a quite big prompt. Cursor has to implement quite a few features, or quite a lot of features. Certainly, let's implement the embedding feature using OpenAI's text embedding 3 small model. We create the new API route, so let's just simply delete that. And by the way, as you can see, I've deleted or I've copy pasted the components that were duplicates just into the UI folder. So we can actually delete this folder. But we'll do it when Cursor is finished because I don't want it to break, right? I don't know if that can happen, but I don't want to take any chances. So now, as you can see, it created a new API route called generate embeddings. And we also modified the process PDF API route, and we updated the file upload modal component to handle the new response. Okay, because now it will take a bit longer, okay, because we have to upload the file and then we have to create the embeddings. So this process will probably take a couple of seconds. This is why we also have to update the file upload model, okay? Now for that, we'll just hit save all. And now we need to do a few things, okay? Let's look at the changes. When the PDF is uploaded, it's processed and chunked as before. The chunks are sent to the new API route, which uses OpenAPI to generate embeddings. The embeddings, along with the chunks, text, and metadata, are stored in PDF chunks table in Supabase. To make this work, you'll need to install the OpenAI package. We will do this. Add your OpenAI key to your environment variables, and add your app's URL to the environment variable. This implementation maintains your existing code structure while adding the embedding functionality. Okay, so now we need to copy this, go to our .env file, and we have to add the OpenAI key, and we also need the next public URL, which is currently our localhost, right? So we just call it HTTP localhost, and we are on port 3000. Now for the OpenAPI key, you want to go to platform.openai.com, create an account if you haven't done it already. And then you want to, where is it? I think it's not here, but it's in Playground. You want to go to API ref. So you want to go to dashboard, you want to click on API keys, and you want to use the API key. And here you want to create a new secret key. Now, obviously, I have already created one because I think I needed it inside of. So we'll delete this, we'll revoke the key, and we'll create a new secret key and call it PDFGenius again, Genius. Then we'll create the secret key, we'll copy that, we'll paste it here, and we'll save the file without formatting. And now I've saved everything. And let's see if it already works. We probably get a bunch of errors. So again, we'll delete this file. And we want to do it from here, right? So let's refresh or reload the app. And we'll click on upload file. We'll take the same file as always. And we click open. So it says uploading. Now this worked without any issues. We go to PDF chunks. And as you can see, we have the different chunks with the embedding vectors, and we have the content for each chunk. So this worked great. Now, obviously, this was easier as expected because I really thought we needed some more iterations to make it work. But, well, this is awesome. So now that we've committed the changes, we want to test the feature. Right now, the file cell is empty, so we'll head back over to PDFGenius. We upload a file and we let it process. This should only take a couple of seconds. Process PDF, embeddings, route, if this works. Now we can still open it, and we should also see it inside here with the PDF chunks. And now if we hit delete, the file should be deleted and also the chunk should be removed. Great. So this feature works. Now we can head over to the next feature. which is actually starting to implement our chatting function, right? Because now the user should be able to ask a question. So for example, if we take the Blaze report, we should be able to ask, okay, please summarize the Blaze Genius in 2 sentences or something like that, right? Now, what we want to do now is we want to embed this query or the question, whatever you want to call it, and also save it into a table. And we probably need to create a new table for that, which is called, I don't know, chat chunks or something like that. I don't really know. We'll ask Cursor for that. And so this will be the next feature. Now, let's head over to Cursor and tell it deleting the files works. Now I want to tackle the chatting feature. For that, I need to embed the user's question with the same model as we have embedded the chunks of the PDF file. I want you to create the necessary files and folders. For that, we probably need a new API route, etc. And store, and I wonder, I will ask the question, okay, I think we should we need to create a new table, but I want Cursor to explain it to me. And I wonder if we also need to create a new table inside of Supabase, store the questions, or can we just use the embedding directly and send it to an LLM together with the specified chunk from the table. Obviously, we still need to do a similarity search, right? But for now, we'll just want to implement the embedding of the question. Let's tackle the chatting feature. We'll create the necessary files and set up the embedding for user question. Here's a plan to implement this. Create a new API route for embedding users' questions, update the chat interface to send questions to this new API, implement similarity search to find relative PDF chunks. Actually, Cursor is 2 steps ahead, which is nice. We'll see if it works or if we need to do some debugging. And implement a similarity search, create a new API route for generating chat responses. Now, I wonder what kind of library Cursor is using for the similarity search. Let's start with creating the new API for embedding the user questions. So here we have the new route for embed the questions. We use OpenAI API and configuration, which is probably not correct since we use just OpenAI. Okay, so obviously he got that wrong, but that's not a big deal. I just have to provide basically the same code snippet as in the other route. And now let's update the front end to handle the chat functionality. We'll modify the existing AI chat history component. Okay, and we're using environment variables for sensitive information, API keys, database URLs. We're using server-side API routes and so on. Okay, to improve this further, you could implement caching to store recent questions, embeddings, and responses, add error handling, and user feedback for failed requests. So for now, we'll just hit accept all. This shouldn't work at all because we still need to update this. Okay, we want to have it look more like this. Okay, since we're using the same model for embedding the user question, please also use the same code snippet as in, and it's route process PDF for the new API route in, and it's called generate embed question, and I think I have to make some changes here because I selected the wrong route. So we want the generate embeddings. Where is it? Generate embeddings. Okay. So we'll do this. No, it should change the embed question. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. We'll accept all. Now this should look similar to this. We have the question. Nice. Okay. So Cursor created a duplicate of the chat window. This is why I correctly renamed so the chat window underscore old is the former chat window, and the new chat window was called, where is it? AI chat history. This is why the code wasn't working. Now, if we head back to look at our console, we can see that we get errors as soon as we try to ask a question, okay? So for example, what is a Blaze Genius? And if we hit send, something happens, but we get a internal server error. And also we can see that the embedding works just fine. So what we have to work on now is the similarity search, right? And the thing is, I believe Cursor already tried to implement it by in the chat route, and it used the native similarity search feature from Supabase. So if we head back to the browser and we click on, I think it's here, we can see that Cursor created something similar to this, which is called an edge function. As you can see, we have the query embedding, we have the match threshold, and this is similar to what we can see here, right? So now what we have to do is to, again, debug the code and see where exactly we get the errors. So now also we can see in the console that the text embed for the question works. So we get the vectors for the question, and we have 5 vectors because we have 5 words inside of our chunk, right? Now, I would do the following. I will just copy this and paste it into Cursor to see if it can come up with anything interesting, but I will just reset the cursor for now, the composer, and now I will ask a question. Okay, I can ask a question, and the question is sent to OpenAI's embedding model, and I do receive something back, but in the terminal, I get the following console.log, and we'll paste this. And we also tell it that we get a internal server error for the API chat route for whatever reason. I'll just copy that, and it's in chat window in around 60 when we do the post request, right? So in addition to that, I get this. Please explain step by step. So we'll see what Cursor comes up with. So certainly, let's break down what is happening step by step. So we have the question submission. You're successfully submitting a question, what is a Blaze Genius, to your API endpoint. Now we create the embedding. So the question is processed and an embedding is generated. This part seems to be working correctly. As you can see, the first 5 values of the embedding in the log. The Supabase function call, the code attempts to call the Supabase stored procedure named match documents that we don't have, right? This is where the error occurs. The error indicates that the function public.match_documents cannot be found in the schema cache. This suggests that either the function hasn't been created in your Supabase database, there's a mismatch in the function name or parameters, or there might be an issue with permissions or the connection in the database. Now, for the error propagation, because of this error, the API route is unable to complete its task and returns an internal server error. The chat window component receives this error when it tries to post this to API chat, which is why we're seeing the error in your browser's console. To resolve this issue, you need to focus on the Supabase function match documents. Here are some steps to take. Go to the SQL editor or database section, verify that the match documents function exists in and is in the public schema. And this should be similar to what we have to do in order to do a similarity search with Supabase's native feature, right? Because here, as you can see, soon we're going to need to perform a similarity search over these embeddings. Let's create a function to do this. And this looks pretty darn similar to what we get here, right? So we are going to do the following. We copy that, and like Cursor suggests, we go to the SQL editor or database section. We verify, or we create the match document, and then we'll again try to run the search. So Supabase, we want to go here. We want to paste this, and we'll see if this works correctly. Okay, and now we've created the function match documents, and we'll see. This is just an example. You need to adjust it based on your specific table structure and requirements. Once you have addressed the Supabase function issue, so this likely doesn't work. We'll do the following, and we'll use the screenshots from before, from the files in the PDF chunks table, and we'll put it into the composer. So the first image and the PDF chunks. So we have this and this. Now you can see the different tables in the screenshots. Could you please go ahead and update the for the match documents function? Also, please keep in mind that I've never implemented that feature. So I don't know what I'm doing, So please explain the whole process and tell me exactly what I need to do. I will hit enter. It should be able to see the different files. Okay, from the screenshot, we can see two relevant tables, files and PDF chunks. Table, we'll need to create a function that searches through the PDF chunks table to find the most similar chunks to a given query embedding. This is what we want. Create the match document function in Supabase, update the API route to use this function correctly, and then ensure the client-side code is set up to handle the response. So let's start with creating the match document function. And now, I don't know if this looks similar to what we already have, but searches we have the PDF chunks table, and we'll do this, head back over to the SQL editor. And here's the difference, right? We just used a quote unquote placeholder for the table to perform the similarity search on, so this wouldn't have worked. Okay, now we'll do it like this. We'll hit run, and cannot change return type of existing function, row type defined by out parameters, use drop function, match documents. So this probably doesn't work because we need to delete the other function. Okay, yeah, run this query. Okay, and now again we will copy that and back over and hit run. So this was a success, and now Cursor already made the changes to the route, to everything else. We already have set the API role and all that good stuff. So we hit save all, and then we'll open the PDFGenius again. We reload, we choose this, and we ask the question, what is a Blaze Genius? So it seems that it still doesn't compare the question against the content of the file, right? Because right now we're just making a general API call to the OpenAI model. Okay, here's it route. We'll hit accept all. So we try another question, maybe maybe we ask it, what is a tempo genius? What is a tempo genius? A tempo genius is not a recognized. Okay. Now I don't get any errors, but it seems that the question in chat is sent to the OpenAI model without any context, because when I ask a question about a specific term from this is what I get as a response. And we'll want to paste this. So let's delete this and paste it here. Please fix and explain step by step. I've already finished all the steps that you told me before. So I see. It seems that while we've set up the infrastructure correctly, there might be an issue with the embedding generation or the similarity search. Let's troubleshoot this step by step. First, let's add more logging to our chat.route to understand what's happening. Now let's check embed_question to ensure it's generating embeddings correctly. So this should be right. This looks pretty similar. Check the chat window.tsx component to ensure it's sending both the question and the embedding to the chat AI. But again, so we have the embedding response. Okay, so this is a new file. So now that we have accepted the changes, before we actually try to ask another question, we head over to the SQL editor and try to check this manually. And for that, we use this value from the question, right? And see what we get if it works. So we put this here, we run. Function match does not exist. No function matches the given name and argument types. You might need to add explicit typecastes. So apparently this didn't work. Let's see if we can ask a question. What is a Blaze Genius? Still doesn't work. But we don't get any errors whatsoever, which is, well, at least nice to have. So again, let's hit reject. When I try to test the SQL, the match document, is it called match document or match documents? No, it's called match documents function inside of Supabase. I get this, although I have run the query you gave to me earlier to create the function. So we want to head over to Supabase again and copy that, paste it here, and see what Cursor suggests us to do. I apologize for the confusion. It seems that the match documents function is not properly created, or there's a mismatch in data types. Let's troubleshoot this. First, let's check if the function exists. It exists. If the query returns no results, it means the function wasn't created successfully. Let's try to create the function again with the explicit typecasting. After creating the function, let's test it with sample embedding. Okay, we'll do this, and we'll do this. Run. We get something back, which is nice. So if you're still in, this query uses an existing embedding from your PDF chunks table to test the function. Yeah, okay. If you're still encountering issues, let's check the structure of your PDF chunks table. Ensure that the embedding column type is vector. Yeah, okay. Also, let's update the route.ts file. Okay, we'll hit accept to handle potential type mismatches. So then I wonder why it doesn't work. So what is a Blaze Genius? Still doesn't work. Okay, I've checked I've checked the function in Supabase. The match documents function exists, and I get back something from the sample embedding. But the API, the LLM still doesn't work, still doesn't receive the context of the PDF to answer my question. Context length is 0, and number of matched chunks is also 0. So this is, maybe we should take this and paste it into Cursor once again. So this probably shouldn't work. Let's do this, and what is a Blaze Genius? It's not a common term. Now, message sent to OpenAI. You are a helpful assistant. Context is empty. Okay. So here's the console.log statement, and it seems as if the context is empty and there were no matched chunks found. So guys, we're close. We're very close. So select embedding. Okay, so the question is, it should use the correct column names inside of the table because I've provided it with a screenshot. As you can see, we have the content, we have the embedding. It uses embedding to check for the similarity. And now, thank you for providing the console log. You're correct. The issue is that no chunks are being matched, resulting in an empty context. Let's address it step by step. Lower the match threshold. The current threshold of 0.78 might be too high. Let's lower to see if we can get some matches in route.ts. So we reduce this to the threshold to 0.5. Let's verify that the function is working as expected. Add this query to your Supabase SQL editor. So again, we try this and we see if it works. We run, okay, and we get something back. Let's improve the error handling. Now we'll hit save all. We go to our app and we choose this file. And again, what is a Blaze Genius? Oh, there we have it. We can give ourselves a big pat on the back. And a Blaze Genius is a personality type characterized by having an extroverted action dynamic and excelling in relationships and external connections. They create leverage through magnification by asking the question, how can this only be done with me? And if we look into the file, okay, we have some more information, but many struggle with details and analytical skills. Examples of Blaze Genius include Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump, and Marilyn Monroe, as you can see. And we should also see where is the info that they struggle with Blaze Genius. Okay, not so great. Weakest at analysis and detailed calculation. So we can see that here. Okay, now we can ask another question to see if it's really working. And we should ask, what is a dynamo genius? What is a dynamo genius? So we'll hit send, and we're sending the request with the embedding. We get something positive back. A dynamo genius is characterized as being excellent at starting new projects and ideas, but they may struggle with finishing tasks. And we have Michael Jackson, Beethoven, Bill Gates, and so on. And if we scroll back, we should see some infos of the dynamo. We have Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Michael Jackson. So guys, there you have it. It works. Now we actually need to brush up the UI of it, okay? Because this looks kind of bad. Okay, we don't want to have the debugging statements and all that stuff. And we still need to add some more features. For example, if we go to the stack edit, so right now we have we can extract text from the PDF. We can split the text into manageable chunks. We can generate embeddings for each chunk. We embed the user's question in, and we perform a similarity search with Supabase's native feature. We retrieve the most relevant chunks, and we send the user's question to the LLM to get answers. Now, we also generate a response, and I still want to focus on the security aspect, okay? Because as I've told you, it's vital to have basically to close all the API routes so attackers can't see any data leaks or whatsoever, okay? But for now, we'll hit accept all, and we even get the context in the console, which is nice, and we generate a response based on that. Okay, now this is awesome. Nice. Now, the next thing I would love to talk about is the security aspect, right? So input validation, sanitization, we still need to add this because you have to think about this. So the user can add a new folder, and this could likely be an attack vector because users could try to add a script tag inside of here, and they could, like, I don't know, do something like alert 0. Now, okay, please analyze my code base for any security issues or missing best practices, and give me a list of your findings. Focus especially on security aspects or issues, but not security issues. When you're done, I want to have a list sorted by highest security risk to lowest security risk. No need to write or change any code for now. So let's see. It analyzes the whole code base, and now it tells me, okay, certainly I'll analyze your code base. Exposure of service role key high risk. In app.api chat route, you're using the Supabase service role key on the client side. Am I? It's this, right? I don't know if this is really a security issue because we're using environment variables, and that is, as far as I know, best practice. You're using the Supabase service role key on the client side. This key has full access to your database and should never be exposed to the client. Lack of input validation in various API routes. There's insufficient input validation for user supplied data, which could lead to injection attacks or unexpected behavior. insecure direct object references in app.api view PDF. App.api, we don't have that, so it should probably uses a old checkout for the code base screening. There's no evidence CSR protection implementation for API route could lead attackers to perform actions on behalf of authenticated users. Of rate limiting, there's no implementation of rate limiting on API routes, which could lead to abuse or DOS attacks. Insufficient error handling. Okay, now as you can see, we have quite a long list, but I would love to go through it one by one because so as for the first point, this is how I access the service role key. Isn't that considered best practice and safe? Because I use environment variables. You're right to be concerned about security and using environment variables, generally good practice. However, there's a crucial distinction to make here. Process.env next public Supabase URL. This is fine to use on both client and server-side codes because it's meant to be public. Process.env Supabase service role key. This is the problematic one. Even though it's an environment variable, using it in this file can still be a security risk. Here's why. API routes in Next.js run on the server, but they are publicly accessible endpoints. If there's any vulnerability in your API route that allows arbitrary code execution, an attacker could potentially access this key. The service role key has full access to your database, bypassing row-level security and other restrictions. Best practices for handling the situation: use the service role key only in truly server-side operations, like in get server-side props, server-side API routes that aren't exposed to the client or in separated backend. Okay. Now use the anon key. The question is if Supabase next. Okay. The question is if this would still work if we would just use the Supabase, what's it called? Supabase service role key, and we'll call it next public. We'll call it. We use this one, and we'll go to route and paste it here and change it. The question is if this breaks our application or if it still works. Give me a quick summary of the four Genius types. Nope, still works. Okay. So we fixed the first issue. Now the next one, lack of input validation. Various API routes, there's insufficient input validation for user-supplied data, which could lead to injection attacks. Okay, now we'll want to use the second point. Can you please fix the second issue without breaking any features or deleting them unnecessarily? So we want this. Now it should go through all of the different API routes and change them. So we need to save this, cancel. API chat route. We'll do input validation. Then we have the embed question API route. We do some input validation, as you can see here. And we'll hit save all. Head back to our application. And we'll see what do psychometric tests say about the mind. Okay, as you can see, there's some issue where the resources URL was preloaded using link preload, but not used within a few seconds from the Windows load event. Make sure it has an appropriate S value and it is preloaded intentionally. So we probably need to fix this too. But for now, I just want to focus on the security issues and fix them one by one. So this is the second one. The third one is insecure direct object references in app API view PDF. So we connect like this because this is from an older commit. Missing CSRF protection. There's no evident CSRF protection implemented for your API routes, which could allow attackers to perform actions on behalf of authenticated users. Now I have no idea what that means. So could you please elaborate on this? Don't write code yet, but explain how to fix this or protect the API routes. Certainly, CSRF protection is indeed an important security measure. Generate a unique token for each user session. Include this token in forms or as a custom header in Ajax requests. Validate the token on the server for each incoming request. Same site cookies, set the same site attribute. Okay. Includes built-in protection against CSRF attacks for post requests to API route when using the use router hook. We don't use the use router hook in all of our API endpoints, right? Generate embeddings. Could you please adjust the code to using use router and its built-in protection against CSRF attacks? Please do this for all API routes, or at least those where it's necessary. Now we'll do this. We'll hit the chat API route, the embed question API route, and generate embedding. Embed question. Okay. Let's see if that works or if that breaks the code. So this is how you can secure your app. Here's how we can adjust the code. Chat window, we use router. To further enhance security, you can add a custom header to your fetch requests, update the fetch calls in like this. Then your API routes, you can check for this header, for example. Okay, so router is not used again. So I don't know. Okay, we'll hit save all. We'll refresh. We choose this. Please, what are the 4 genius types? Send. So there's still some issue with the flickering. I don't know where that stems from, but seems that this works well. So we have fixed the next security issue. Then the next one is CSRF protection. We did this. Rate limiting. Okay, since I won't put that live, this shouldn't be an issue. And I think we call it a day for now, because this would just unnecessarily prolong the video. So there you have it, guys. It's definitely possible to build a full stack application just with AI tools. But again, use Cursor, don't use anything else. And create a plan for yourself. Use this to build each feature step by step. And then with a little bit of using your brain, this shouldn't be an issue. Okay. So we see us in the next video. See you in the next video.